I am back today with another high-value shotgun option in the semi-auto category, the Mossberg 930. Now, the Mossberg 930 is not a new shotgun, and in fact, it's not even a new shotgun to the channel. I reviewed a turkey version of this gun about a few years ago, and then added the Nordic extension tube, allowing it to hold a ton of rounds for a 3-gun competitive scenario, and it always was 100% reliable, and it worked out great. But there's been some renewed interest on the channel and with my viewership about high-value semi-auto shotguns, especially with the releases of a lot of the Turkish M4 clones when I reviewed the Benelli M2, as well as some reviews of the Beretta 1301 Tactical. A lot of people said, well, what about that 930? So I went, found this online, and picked it up used in like new condition with the tube extension already there, allowing it to hold 7+1 rounds, but with a shorter barrel system, very similar to the M2 and 1301 that I reviewed from Beretta. Now, the M2 I could actually outrun, meaning I could pull the trigger faster than the action could cycle, leaving it with a dead trigger. I dumped the M2 because I don't want a gun personally that I can outrun. But the 1301 was kind of the pinnacle of semi-auto shotguns in my opinion, and it is still my go-to if you have the money. But that's the key, the money. Those are right at about $1,300, and I've got full reviews and I highly recommend them. But a lot of people want a defensive semi-auto shotgun that they can use for a wide variety of applications without breaking the bank. In comes a lot of the Turkish imports. Some people are dead set against the Turkish imports, so there are limited options when it comes to very high value other than those. And I'm talking you can grab some of them for as low as $300. So this kind of splits the difference between the cheapest of the semi-autos and the most expensive, like the Benelli M4s and the Beretta 1301s. And this comes in right at about $600 to $800, depending on the configuration you select. I've seen them as low as $550 depending on sales and deals going on, and depending on the barrel lengths that are popular at the time. But we're just going to call this about a $650 to $700 shotgun without all the crazy bells and whistles. So let's talk about its performance, its specs and features, and its overall handling down at the range, because this is a great option that I've fallen in love with in the turkey gun, but this tactical version is slightly different, so let's discuss it. Right off the bat, it balances incredibly nicely, and this tube extension works out perfectly. It feeds incredibly smooth, it locks up solid, there's no wobble and play in the tube, and you don't need a clamp to make it to work out. And in fact, this is a factory configuration that you're looking at here. It balances very nicely and it handles very nicely, in part due to the very long foregrip with a very nice contour to it and checkering at the bottom. So if you have a long length of pull, you can grab it out further, or if you're a little bit shorter, you can grab it closer to the action itself, and it works out very nicely. It integrates seamlessly into the receiver, and there's not a ton of bells and whistles, but what they do have, they've done very nicely. It's got a tang safety, which works out pretty well if you're an ambidextrous shooter, so that's a nice touch, and it has a drilled and tapped receiver for the addition of a rail system, shell holders, things like that. The actual bolt release is a large button with some texturing, which is key if you're wearing gloved fingers for hunting applications, or if you're going to be doing some tactical reloads. This is nice as well. When you cock this bolt back, it's got a very nice scoop to it, again allowing you to use it if you have gloved hands or in a emergency situation or a tactical defensive situation to really actuate the action. The other great thing about the 930s is the loading gate. Your finger does not get stuck in that loading gate at all, and it works out perfectly. There's a nice chamfer to it, it's got a lot of room, and as long as you're loading horizontally, it works out very nicely. Feeding and function was great when inserting the rounds and as the gun was running, so no issues there. And the trigger on this guy is halfway decent. The stock on this is pretty decent as well. It's got some nice check turning on the tang. It really necks down, and then it expands out very nicely for a sloping cheek well. Also has a nice rubberized butt pad that absorbs a lot of the recoil. Now, when it comes to reliability, this 930 was 100% reliable with every type of ammo we put through it, including a lot of cheap ammo. And that's where you start to get into some positives of this over some budget Turkish shotguns. A lot of times, some of those Turkish shotguns need a break-in period or won't run low brass ammo. Or if they do run low brass ammo, they kind of tear themselves apart with slugs and buckshots, and the Mossberg 930 is from the Mossberg lineup. It's going to work. It's going to work 100% of the time with a wide variety of ammunition, and I've never had a single issue with this or the Turkey version of this gun, and I love getting 2 or 3 samples of a gun out to the channel, and both of the Mossberg 930s I purchased myself because I like them so much, and this one was no different. It ran 100% functional, no issues whatsoever, again with running just cheap ammunition all the way up to slugs and buckshot. Now when it comes to just overall ease of use, we've already discussed a lot of the specs and features, but how does it all flow together? It flows together very nicely. The Beretta 1301 still beats it out because of a lot of those specs and features I talked about with extended levers, oversized accessories, flared magwells, but you're talking at least potentially double the price of this shotgun, where the Mossberg 930 is going to do pretty much all you need, and the Beretta 1301 may just have a little bit more bells and whistles, so it's going to be a give and take. Personally, the 930 is not going to replace the Beretta 1301, but it is going to bridge the gap between the super cheap and the super expensive, giving you a great high-value option that works, balances nicely, functions with a wide variety of ammunition, is very reliable, and is incredibly ergonomic. I can highly recommend this shotgun. I've fallen in love with the 930. You probably will be seeing more of them on the channel as I review different models, but it's always a money thing, right, guys? So it's hard to buy all of this stuff. So I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, your shares, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. I do Friday deal alert videos every single Friday with some of the best deals on the internet. And if you're looking for deals right now, check out my campsite page. My campsite page is an aggregate site of all the best deals I find on the internet, including deals on semi-auto shotguns like the Mossberg 930. So all that information can be found in the description below. So I hope you guys liked the video. Hope it gives you some high-value options that you can add to your arsenal. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.